Hong Kong, a prosperous and beautiful gem of Asia. The name itself means fragrant harbor, and trust me, that captures its essence perfectly. You might wonder, why is it referred to as a city and not a country? That's because Hong Kong is an autonomous region under China's jurisdiction. So that's its classification. Interesting tidbit. Hong Kong was a British colony for about 150 years before transitioning to a Chinese autonomous region in 1997. Fascinating, right? One of the aspects that makes Hong Kong stand out is its rich cultural diversity. This has positioned the city as a global city in Asia with tremendous economic potential. Speaking of the economy, did you know that Hong Kong ranks among the top 10 wealthiest cities in the world, boasting a wealth of at least $1.5 trillion? And while we're on the topic of productivity, Hong Kong also makes the list of the top 10 most productive cities globally. If you're curious, Tokyo in Japan holds the #1 spot. Just picture this. In an area spanning 2,755 square kilometers, there's a bustling population of 7.5 million residents. Many immigrants, particularly from southern China, flock to this vibrant city, either for work or simply to enjoy its allure. Should you visit, the first thing you'll notice is the sheer number of people. The majority are of Chinese descent, with an estimated 90% or more of the population having Chinese heritage. But that's not all. There's also a significant number of residents from low-income South Asian countries like Pakistan, India, and Nepal. Moreover, many Filipinos work in caregiving roles for the elderly here. Regarding wages, Hong Kong doesn't have a fixed minimum wage. It's all based on an hourly rate, similar to many other countries. As of 2023, the minimum wage stands at 45 Hong Kong dollars or roughly $6 per hour. This means if someone works 8 hours a day, their minimum monthly earnings would be around $900. Of course, if you possess specialized skills, you can earn much more, potentially ranging from $7,000 to $10,000 monthly. The cost of living in cities like Hong Kong and Singapore is incredibly high, folks. The reason? Limited space. Many people end up renting or living in high-rise buildings that reach 15, 20 stories. Just imagine, for renting a 2-bedroom apartment of about 70 square meters, you have to be willing to spend around $2,500 per month. If you want something more spacious, say a 3-bedroom apartment of 100 square meters in the city center, it could cost more than $3,000. Oh, and don't assume that all buildings in Hong Kong are new and luxurious. There are what's known as monster buildings, old structures built around the 1970s. Even though they might look worn from the outside, many tourists love taking pictures in front of these buildings. There's a certain nostalgic and awe-inspiring sensation to it. Even the thought of these giant buildings being demolished gives one the chills. So if you're someone who's not a fan of heights or old buildings, living in Hong Kong long-term might be a challenge. Due to its limited land area, rental costs in Asian cities like Hong Kong are very expensive, and the apartments are often small. That's why there are about 600,000 people living on boats, in slums, or even on the streets. Furthermore, Hong Kong imports a lot of products, so daily expenses are also high. This is why many budget travelers or backpackers either skip Hong Kong or only make a brief stop. Its location is also super strategic. To the north, Hong Kong is bordered by Chinese territory, while the southern part faces the South China Sea. Plus, it's close to Taiwan, just about 550 kilometers away. So if you want to go to Taiwan, it only takes 2 hours. If you look at the map in more detail, Hong Kong consists of 2 main parts. About half of the city is on Hong Kong Island itself, while the northern part is known as the Kowloon region. Both are connected by bridges, making it feel like one integrated central area. Thanks to this intricate structure, Hong Kong has a bustling harbor where ships and ferries can dock. In this dense city, the main modes of land transportation are trains and subways. If you're visiting Hong Kong for a vacation, you might as well hop over to Macau, which is also an autonomous region of China. You can get there by sea or by the world's longest bridge. This bridge stretches for 55 kilometers, connecting the two cities across the water, and is one of China's construction wonders. Walking around Hong Kong, you'll undoubtedly encounter many Chinese people. As it's also a global business hub, many of its residents speak English. However, it's important to note that the majority of people here use Chinese as their primary language. In terms of beliefs, most of them follow Buddhism or Taoism. Interestingly, Hong Kong operates independently from China. Its currency and local laws are self-regulated. Unlike China, Hong Kong is more democratic. That's one of the reasons why Taiwanese people are reluctant to unify with the more authoritarian China. Here, freedoms are relatively extensive. People can wander, have fun, record videos, and even protest against the government with few restrictions. Want to come here? You don't need a visa from China. Both Hong Kong and Macau can be visited without a visa. However, if you wish to travel to China afterward, you'll need a separate visa. Now, if you're grabbing a coffee at a cafe in Hong Kong, don't be surprised if you find some cafes also functioning as laundromats, places to wash clothes. It's similar in Singapore. People who don't have homes often come here to do their laundry at quite an affordable rate. While waiting for their clothes, they can enjoy a coffee. If you want to take a bus or tram, most public vehicles here are double-deckers. To pay, you can purchase a card for 200 Hong Kong dollars, or about $25 US at train stations. This card can be used on all public transport and even in some restaurants. Once you're done using it, you can return the card and get a refund of 50 Hong Kong dollars. Pretty cool, right? Exploring the city by train has become a fun hobby for locals. Especially for those who are new to Asia, taking a tram is an economical way to quickly explore the city. You don't have to worry about running out of seating on the tram. With a fleet of 165 trams and an extensive rail system, an average of 200,000 people can be transported from one place to another every day. If taking the tram feels too slow for you and you prefer taxis, what's interesting here is that the taxis are red, not yellow like in New York. But they're both iconic in their own ways. The taxi model here is almost all the same, so it's easily recognizable. One thing that will amaze you about Hong Kong is its cleanliness. Despite the dense population, the streets here are very clean. Except in some narrow alleys, it's rare to find trash on the streets. Due to limited space, many restaurants and cafes have moved to the upper floors of buildings. There are electronic escalators that will take you up, so you can explore not only the city's ground level, but also its hilly areas. Even in these areas, you can find a Buddha temple next to a commercial building. Occasionally, you might encounter a somewhat peculiar sight. For example, groups of people gather under bridges or buildings, sitting on cardboard. If you ask them why, it turns out this is a gathering spot for low-income individuals. They can't afford to eat in restaurants, so they choose to chat and eat in places like these. The faces of people on the streets don't seem stressed or burdened with heavy financial problems. Instead, they seem to be living a regular life, and you can tell from their facial expressions. If you're lucky, you might even see people dancing in the middle of the street. In the narrow alleys of this city, there are many souvenir shops. However, many are more interested in going to the waterfront. There you'll find rows of tall buildings, and people love taking pictures with that backdrop. Moreover, there's also a Disneyland in Hong Kong, so you don't have to go all the way to Paris to experience a Disneyland adventure. Especially if you go there at night, the visual show is extraordinarily impressive. Now, a tip. Even though there are many electronic stores in Hong Kong, I wouldn't recommend buying electronics here unless you really need them. That's because the prices tend to be higher, and it's hard to verify the authenticity of the products. They might sell counterfeit goods while claiming they're genuine. Hong Kong is indeed one of the cities with the most billionaires in the world, alongside Moscow and New York. So when roaming its streets, it's no surprise to see luxury vehicles whizzing by. It's entirely possible that the person behind the wheel is a billionaire, or, at the very least, a millionaire. It's said that there are about 82 individuals with a net worth exceeding $1 billion residing here, and not all of them are of Chinese descent. When it comes to nightlife, Hong Kong can certainly compete with other Asian nations. The city truly comes alive after the sun sets. Hangout spots brim with activity, streets bustle with energy, and there's even a themed costume vibe in some areas. Some might dress as pirates while others appear as nurses. The night atmosphere is genuinely unparalleled. Chinese folks here definitely know their fashion game, especially the women. They tend to pay more attention to their physical appearance compared to the men. Additionally, Hong Kong offers an array of delectable street food options. Not only are these treats delightful to the palate, but their vendors also remain masked, ensuring safety. The hygiene levels in their kitchen setups are also notably higher compared to other South Asian countries. Given that Hong Kong is a port city, many of its dishes revolve around fish and seafood. From the bustling city streets to the tranquil Buddhist monasteries, Hong Kong provides a unique experience. This cosmopolitan city seamlessly fuses ancient Chinese traditions with its vibrant, modern capitalist energy. Hong Kong undoubtedly deserves the title of Asia's World City. That wraps up this video. See you in the next one.